Hello.
Good evening, Dean.
Good evening, Ingram.
How are you?
I'm all right, thank you very much. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So tell me, the last time we spoke, it was Shane McPhilbin and Chris Keane knocked him out in quite spectacular fashion.
Yeah, three rounds it went with, including three knockdowns.
So since then, since that fight has happened, what's been going on with Chris Keane?
Um, well, there's been a lots of ups and downs. We was told that we would be fighting for the Commonwealth Cruiserweight title. Um, However, that fell through, and they've put two Australian lads in for it. And I assume that we're still somewhere in the background waiting to either fight the winner or in a couple of fights time that will come off. Uh, on top of that, we got a call from Nathan Cleverly to ask us to go into camp to help him prepare for Robin Krasniqi.
I did hear
Uh,
about that, and we did speak a little bit like that about that. How was the sparring with Nathan Cleverley? What was it like sparring with him?
he's absolutely fantastic. He's that fit; it's unbelievable. Um, I can't see anybody else in the world boxing at the pace at these weights that he boxes at. He's very good at keeping you off balance, and it was a great learning experience. Lovely man as well, and so was his dad Vince. Great people. Really looked after us, and it was enjoyable.
Oh, it'd been fascinating to know how, obviously, because I know Chris Keane is an explosive puncher.
Yeah,
Nathan Cleverley, not known for his punch power, but known for his speed and work rate.
yeah,
Be interesting. It's almost like, because as I said before, Chris Keane has got a very David Hay-esque sort of style. So
yes, yes,
sort
yeah,
of like a David Hay versus Nathan Cleverley. You've got that, sort of like
yeah,
an ambush fight on one side, and you've got the other guy who comes in, pops in, throws punches, and comes out. So from you as a
yeah.
trainer's point of view, where did you see technically the sparring being of benefit to Chris, apart from the fact that, of course, he's sparring with a world champion?
Lots of things really. Nathan, a lot of people think Nathan is just a work rate fighter.
Mm.
A lot of people don't see him as a punch. He punches well hard enough. Believe me, he he really does. He carries a punch, um, even though a lot of people don't think so.
Mm. I mean,
He's
I wouldn't tell him to his face because obviously if he hit me on the cheek,
Yeah,
I'll probably feel it.
yeah. No, he's got a fantastic work rate, as I say, for Chris. We wanted to see that maybe if at one point he was ever put in with a fighter higher up at European level or world level who could fight at a hectic pace and throw hundreds and hundreds of punches and touching on 1,000 punches over a 12 round period. Could he live with that? The answer is yes. One day alone, he done 15 rounds. So his fitness is there. He can work at a pace, and he worked at a pace for 15 rounds. So it answers some very good questions for us, and all of it's great experience.
Well, I want to pick your brain a bit here because when you hear about sparring sessions, and I mean, when I used to box, certainly my trainer would be very. The word's not cautious, but he'd be very. He'd put you with certain people that he knew that you could handle, or he knew that was good for you and experience. So he would say, "Okay, I'm putting you in a ring with this guy to spar." He wouldn't obviously tell me that because that's too much information for me.
Yeah,
He'd tell me you're going to spar with Joe Bloggs this week. Okay? And I'm sparring with Joe Bloggs. Now, Joe Bloggs is going to test me in areas I don't think Joe Bloggs would test me on. I've had no video on Joe Bloggs. I've had no sort of information on Joe Bloggs. I just know Joe Bloggs is there and he's good for my sparring. It's good for me. When you are now matching, or you've got an opportunity for your guy Chris Keane to go and spar against someone like Nathan Cleverley, where do you draw the line in the sparring sessions? Is it a case of look, you don't hit him too hard, or you've got a fighter like Nathan Cleverley now who's preparing to defend his world title? So obviously he needs quality sparring. Where does the line draw with sparring partner mode to real opposition to prepare for a fight to just going through the motions?
Um, well, if you're being employed, which is what you are,
Yes.
You're being paid to spar a world champion or world class operators. There's no such thing as going through the motions. They're going to make you earn your money. You know, there's nothing light or tapping about it. You're going to work. You're getting ready for a fight. So for me, I haven't, as you've seen before, he sparred Derek
Yes.
Chisora. He was giving away over 4 stone, and at times, he stood his ground
Stood in
and
the pocket
traded.
with. I saw him standing right in the pocket with Derek.
He can whack,
Yeah.
but unlike a lot of punchers, Chris has got a very good chin.
Yes.
Without sounding cocky or too big-headed, sparring-wise, I've no fear with putting him in with anybody. As you know, I spoke to Peter Fury about putting him in with some sparring for Tyson Fury when he was...
We talked about that.
Yeah, before he fought Cunningham.
Yes.
Which was a great knockout, by the way.
In the end.
In the end, yeah. I mean, again, though, Tyson showed great heart to get up, and
Absolutely.
he's a character. Yes, yeah, but again, like coming back to the sparring, that's all learning.
Absolutely.
You're not going to be the finished article unless you overcome them hurdles.
Absolutely.
So
I think a lot of boxing fans think, oh yeah, he got rocked in that fight and he got hurt in that fight, but he's learning all the time. And if you're knocking everybody out all the time, when somebody actually digs you back with a shot, you're not quite sure what to do.
Yes, exactly.
So
yeah, that's what I'm saying about when Chris fought last Friday. Again, it only went 2 rounds, unfortunately, and again another 3 knockdowns during them 2 rounds before he finally knocked the kid out.
So then who's the matchmaker? Who decides on the opponent?
A lot of the time it's down to me. I throw names out there to a promoter or other matchmakers and say, "There's a list of names. Get us one of them." They try their best. Again, we got a kid who come with a winning record, had never been stopped, carried a punch himself, and anybody who was at the fight could see that the kid had come to try and, he met Chris head on, unfortunately for him, and tried out muscling him, out punching him, and took, unfortunately, in 4 minutes, an almighty beating.
I suggested once again Chris Keane for sparring for Manuel Shah because he's preparing to fight David Haye.
Yes, he got in touch actually.
Did he? Yeah. Sneaky so-and-so.
Manuel Shah got in touch and he said, like, I'd like you to spar for when he was fighting, for when he's going to fight David Haye. Obviously, we agreed. I sent him my personal phone number and said, obviously, get in touch, and we will discuss, obviously, the ins and outs of it. Obviously, I'm aware now the fight has fell through for the time being. So, obviously, I'm waiting on that call for whenever it will come.
Backstory to that, because I was talking to Manuel Shah. We've been having a bit of back. I don't know if you noticed. We've been having a bit of back and forth on Twitter.
Yeah.
I called him a fake once because I didn't think he was the real Manuel Shah. Then he said he was the real Manuel Shah. Then I was meant to get an interview with him. He accused me of trying to get my interview questions off of Eastside Boxing News, which I sort of took slightly to heart. Got a bit shit about the situation. So I sort of, been baiting him on. Say you've been calling David Haye a coward. Why don't you stop being a coward and do the interview with me, the real man? Or get a real interview with you, find out what you're really about. So he's been ducking and diving. Then I said, you know what? You're going to fight David Haye, and I know you're going to fight David Haye. And Adam Booth had been saying, oh, no, they're not going to fight Manuel Shah. Manuel Shah was the obvious guy to fight. He's WBC silver champion. If you win against him and anybody, the first 3 duck out of the top 3, WBC, you ultimately get an opportunity to get a shot at the title. So it's an excellent belt to get. A lot of people dog it out, but it's an excellent belt to get. And I thought, hold on, it makes common sense for him to spar someone like Chris Keane. Similar style, right? And then he says to me, nah, I'm not going to spar with him. I'm going to go and spar with Tony Greno. I'm like, Now that don't
Who?
make no sense. Tony Grano, he's a American.
Yeah.
He fought the other day. He was ranked number 8 or 5, but he was ranked at 5 by WBC at one point, heavyweight. He said he was going to get Tony Grano to spar with him, and that sounded funny because Tony Grano kind of moves like treacle compared to
Yeah.
Chris Keane.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I discover that he's been in contact with you.
Yeah. He messaged us and said I'd like you to be my sparring partner, and obviously we said, well, yes, that's no problem if that's what you want.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Uh,
I mean, it seems a sensible thing to have.
yeah, he's not a massive heavyweight as well. Chris has sparred bigger heavyweights than what Manuel Char is. So, again, there's no fear about doing any sparring with him.
I heard a rumor flying about over the Twitter internet, and it said that Chris Keane is going to be fighting for the WBO Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, yes, that's very true. Very true. He is, yeah. He's fighting for the actually the WBO international title.
International, okay.
The WBO international title. He's fighting for that in 2 weeks' time.
Okay, so how many fights has Chris had? 10 fights now, or
10 so far. He's 10-0, 5 stoppages.
okay, 10-0, 5 stoppages. So by winning this international title, does that mean that he gets into the WBO top 10 then?
Yes, I think he's around about top 15, isn't it? Ranking by the WBO. So either way, it's a very good ranking, and opens some doors, hopefully.
What I really want to know about is when you're going to fight the British champion. What's going on here? Dickinson, right?
Yes. What can I say here?
Does he want it?
Look, he's a fighter. Well, I'm going to contradict myself here a little bit. He's a fighter, so I would assume he personally wants it. He will fight. He's a tough man.
Yes.
He's turning into a very, very experienced, good 12-round fighter at controlling a fight over 12 rounds. I'd say him personally, he'd take the fight. Of course, he's confident. He's had a few good wins. But again, boxing, politics stand in the way.
Right.
An opponent, a British opponent, who I won't name because I don't want to shame them, even though they should be shamed, was offered to fight us for the WBO title. This person is ranked above us in Britain, okay? Now, it won't leave too many to the imagination because he was offered a fight with us for the WBO title. His manager was contacted. His manager agreed. The team was happy. Everything was sorted. When he walked into the gym, he was told, brilliant, look, got a massive chance. This, that, and the other. The kid point blank refused. I'm not fighting Chris Keane, he says. For me, that's very disappointing. I would have kicked him out the gym.
Wow. And why did he refuse? Was it the fact that Chris Keane's a puncher?
I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs or exactly why he wouldn't fight him, but he said he's not willing to fight him.
Oh wow! Would it be a step down in class then for this guy in terms of the levels of where they may have been?
No, I wouldn't say so. I personally don't class him as good as Chris anyway. It wouldn't have been a step down for him. In fact, it's a massive opportunity. He's going to get a world ranking. It's going to open lots of doors for him. He was getting a decent few pound. He just point blank refused. He didn't want it.
So, in terms of Chris Keane's development, I mean, and I know, knocking over guys, and he needs to be either stepped up or to be fighting guys who are going to put a bit more resistance up.
Yeah.
I mean, you want that. I guess that's what you're wanting.
That's what we do want, yeah. We need that because there is no point us, again, in fairness to the lads Chris has fought, at this point in his career, he's fought more lads with a winning record and coming to try than anybody else. The problem is, obviously, which isn't a problem because when you get to world level, you need it. He whacks very hard. And he's just they just can't stand up to the punches.
Let me throw something at you. Eddie Hearn,
Yeah.
prize fighter.
Yes.
Thoughts? Cruiserweight.
I think he's going to be very good. To be honest, I'm looking forward to it. Me and Chris are actually going.
Okay, I thought that wasn't really that wasn't quite the answer I was looking for, but it's nice to know that you're going there.
And I'll tell you why we're going there.
What's that?
Shall I tell you why we're going there?
Yes.
We're going to support Shane McPhilby.
Okay, right.
We're going to give some support, mate.
Right, that's good. That's great stuff. I was thinking more along the lines of Chris being entered into it. Would you consider that? Would you have considered that? Obviously,
we talked about it personally.
Yes.
To be honest, if taking strategy and a game plan out the window, we would have all jumped at the chance, because nobody is going to pin him down or outbox him over 3-minute rounds. Nobody in this country. I'd find very few already in Europe that will pin him down over 3 rounds, mate. He's just got too much movement. He'd just pick him and move. So nobody would beat him over 3 rounds. Anybody who had the unfortunate tendencies to come looking for him to try and blow him out would walk onto some heavy shots and would get themselves knocked out. So for me, he would win prize fighter without a shadow of a doubt, mate. Without a shadow of a doubt. But we've got bigger things to fry than prize fighter.
But surely prize fighter, it has opened doors, European title shots, world title shots, and people recognise you more from the prize fighter.
Well, if you look at the prize fighter, the only people it's opened doors for European title shots or other title shots are lads who are really, without sounding disrespectful, lads who are past it and are looking for one last grasp at the big time, and that's their way back in. Or lads who have got nothing to lose, really. No. Obviously, we don't come into neither category. We're not at the end of our career trying to get one last shot at glory. Hypothetical, we go in prize fighter, we beat somebody up, but we get caught with a head or an elbow or something. We get cut, we come out. We got a loss on our record. It stops us back for what?
Yeah.
The rewards aren't massive. As it is, we're going to get a world ranking off this. We're about. And you can definitely quote me on this. We are about another 4 fights away from a massive fight. Massive fight.
Wow, 4 fights away. So you need more rounds under the belt for Chris Keane. What else do you think he needs, apart from rounds?
He needs rounds. Obviously, with them rounds are going to come what he massively needs, and for me, it's one of the only things that he needs. It's experience. He needs the experience. He needs to answer little questions and solve little puzzles and problems that will occur during a fight. If his hand goes, can he switch and go southpaw and see out a points win? That would be, would be a very important win. Turning southpaw. Can lads stand up to his power and come back at him and drag him into a war? How does he react? There's lots of questions that he still needs to answer.
Stamina over the 12-round distance?
I've got no question over his stamina, as I say.
But under pressure?
Well, I can't see. If you can name me any cruiserweight in the world, not only in the UK, in the world, who fights at a ferocious pace like Nathan Cleverly, and he done 15 rounds with him, there isn't none. I can't see no other light heavyweight who fights at that Nathan Cleverly's pace. They're mine cruiserweights. And he managed to do 15 rounds in a day, no problem. During a week, Monday to Friday, he must have covered 80 rounds. That's an awful lot of rounds in a 5-day period.
So fitness, you have no doubts about. I mean, a lot of the points you're making are pretty valid. What about in terms of exposure in the next 4 fights? Maybe some American opposition,
Um,
some experienced, maybe guys who just passed their best. I tell you who would have been a good fight if he was. Shame he's not a cruiserweight. Glenn Johnson. That'd been a nice test.
it would do.
You can see, what I'm
he would
talking about there.
somebody he would be somebody who would keep coming all day as well and
Exactly.
cause problems. And them are the sort of questions we need to answer. For this WBO fight, I've asked for the French cruiserweight champion. We put it to them. They don't want to fight. Their thing is they've got a bigger fight lined up. I assume they'll be fighting for the European title.
Jean-Marc
Jeremy Huna, his name
Huna,
is.
okay.
Jeremy Huna. I've asked for him. I also there was another couple of names in the mix. Ismail Abdul.
Oh, that would have been a good fight.
Ismail Abdul. Laszlo Hubert, who has only ever lost at world level. He's actually been a form of a world champion. He's been the WBC interim world champion. He's won the WBC international title, the WBC silver title. He's won 35, knocked out about 27 or something. He's lost 12. So these are the sort of opposition that we're looking at already, that we've already asked for. We've put in for these. We're still waiting on an opponent for next week, for the 31st of May, should I say, for the WBO title. We're waiting for the WBO to get back to us. So, but these are the sort of opposition that it will be against.
Okay. In terms of now Chris has been on. I think he fought on Sky. I know for the McFielding fight. Did he fight?
Box Nation.
Box Nation.
Yeah.
Sky. Sorry. Whoops. Yeah. Box Nation.
He actually boxed on Sky at the beginning of his career.
Okay.
He had a couple of fights on on Sky at the beginning, but
so the last fight he had was on Box Nation as well, was it?
No, that was that wasn't televised. His last.
That's why I missed it. See?
Yeah, his last fight wasn't televised.
Okay.
Obviously, we don't put up no footage on YouTube or.
Yes, I know.
You know how we already work.
I know how you roll.
No, all people will really see is. I suppose Box Nation will put up some clips or somebody will film it from this WBO and a bit of footage. So as we go on, more and more footage will be out there. But for the time being, there's hardly nothing on us.
Yes.
Which is what we want. But eventually we need to start changing that because we need a little bit of exposure and
absolutely.
And a little bit of we need people to know really who Chris is and what he's about.
Absolutely. I need to get an interview with Chris as well because I keep interviewing you all the time, which is not a bad thing.
You know what it is? I've said this time, so he just doesn't speak. It's very, very strange. The kid is that shy. He's that polite and humble. You could ask him a question. How do you think? Now you could watch him fight and not know him. And you ask him this, you see him, you go, bloody hell. A friend of mine he's my cousin, he's also a pro boxer, he's just starting out, he's about 4-0 at the minute. Yes. He come to watch him in his last fight and said, come into the dressing room and said, Chris, oh my God, bro, you nearly took his head off with the uppercut. You're dangerous, man. This, that, and the other. Chris goes, yeah, it's all right. I tried my best, and that's all you get out of him. You get Now, what I keep trying to get through to him is, listen, you need to look at the likes of Tyson Fury. You need to look at all these lads. They're selling themselves. Yeah. They're getting to big fights. Manuel Char, they talk. You need to sell yourself to get out there. I'm flogging the dead horse at the minute with him now.
Why don't you get an opponent who's got a big mouth? That's the way to do it. Get an opponent who's got a big mouth.
Well, the thing is, even if I did, Chris would just sit there and take it off him.
Yeah, but you need someone who's going to get in his skin. You need someone who's going to say something bad about him.
You know what? I try that personally with him. and it still don't
But
work.
when you're trainer, you need to get someone who's got a bit of a mouth on him. Somebody who's going to give him some real sticks, some real. You need a grudge match. If you can get
I've
a
got,
grudge match, I know he's
believe
a
it or
nice guy, but you need a grudge match. You need a
not,
grudge match.
I give him some rotten stick today. I've got an headache as it goes. You're sitting here talking from it because we done an awful lot of rounds earlier, body bag and a
Yeah.
little bit of sparring and all that. And he missed the paddock. He missed the thing. He slipped off and caught me with an uppercut and whatever else. So I've got a rotten bloody headache at the minute. So I called him some choice names, but he still didn't get angry.
Oh dear. So I mean, in terms now, you've got the WBO fight, which
Yeah.
I think you guys are going to come through. So after that WBO fight, how soon are we going to see Chris Keane?
Um, hopefully, hopefully July, about 7 weeks later. Chris has just been in the gym solidly now for almost 4 years. Believe it
Wow.
or not, for
Sticky
almost
on.
4 years. We've really come under the radar. You know, people think, oh, he's only out. He just must have 4 years. Chris, well over 4 years now. He's been a pro, and we've slowly chipped away, and it's only really like the last probably 15 months that things have finally started moving for us. So we're hoping to keep him busy. July, hopefully. The IBF Intercontinental has just become vacant. There's the EBU EU title that is vacant. So them are the sort of steps that we're looking at next. That without sounding like I'm looking past this fight,
Yeah.
all being well, please God, we come through this. Then will be the sort of options that we'll be looking at. Then against the likes of Ishmael Abdul or Juno Hupia, who just took Marius Mastertech the distance in December for the European title.
Right.
Lucas Suda, who is a top inside the top 20 in Europe. Them are the sort of opponents then that we're then looking at. If Chris comes through them, the only people really that come through them sort of opponents are your likes of your Masternecks, your Marco Hooks, your Afalobis, your Alexander Frenkels, world class fighters. So we will know them. It'll answer some questions if we are on the right track.
Two fights I think you'd be interested in. First of all, I'll mention Huck and Afolabi 3. Your thoughts?
That's going to be a good fight. Hook was a little bit lucky last time, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like all good champions, is his time coming to an end?
Mm-hmm.
The fight's only going to go the one way. Both of them only know how to fight that same way.
Yeah.
It's only gonna pan out exactly the same. Will Afolabi get the decision? I don't know. You know what I mean? But it's going to be a good fight. That will definitely.
The other fight, Frankie Gavin
Against
Denton
Denton.
Vassell.
Yeah, you can't ask this. I'm close to Frankie. Frankie's like family to me.
I know that's a tough one, Frankie. I think one thing that
Do you honestly think so?
I do. I think I'd like it for me. I want to see how Frankie deals with somebody who's physically as strong as Denton Vassell.
How
That's
do you
what
know
Frankie does.
how do you know he's strong?
Well, the way he dealt with Ronnie Heffron it's how I'm looking at that. Heffron is inexperienced.
Ronnie Efron was less experienced than him.
Agreed. Very agreed.
Younger than him.
Agreed.
And really played into his hands and fought his sort of fight.
But do you think that Vassell is good enough to get Gavin into a wall?
Never.
Don't think so.
Never. Did you watch Frankie Gavin against Jason Wellborn?
Yeah, I saw it. I did watch it.
Yeah, well, now remember, look, I'm going to probably be the first person to tell you this, and again, I don't mind putting my neck on the line.
Okay.
Without no disrespect to Jason Wellborn, no disrespect to Denton Vassell, that sort of style of fight is an easy night's work for Frankie Gavin. They like to get their feet into range, stop, and then punch. They're never going to pin him down. He'll feel like he's on a roundabout, mate, going around and around and around. And I've said to Frankie this. I was with Frankie only earlier as well.
Mm-hmm.
Frankie Gavin will stop Denton Vassell later on.
That's
He
what you're
will
saying.
stop it. Yeah,
Gavin stops
definitely. Without,
Vassell late.
without a shadow of a doubt, I'll stick my neck on the line. He will stop him late on. The body shots from early and the angles he'll be hit at, he will, come on, look. No, again, no disrespect, but Lee Purdy, he's not a great fighter. Really, come on. He's a very average fighter. He should never be fighting for a world title. And he caused all sorts of problems for Vassell.
How do you think the Purdy fight with Alexander is going to go this weekend?
He'll stop him. I think Alexander will stop him around 5 or 6. It's about levels, isn't it?
It is absolutely.
No, it's about levels, and when you talk about, these lads, they're absolute, they're levels above. They're levels above.
I'm going to mention another, and I have to do it. I can't resist. I've got to say the name. China Clark and Wally Camacho. That fight.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's the cruiserweight division, right?
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the fight? I've got to ask.
They'll fight to pick out to make the cruiserweight division sound exciting, is it? They were both. Fitness was absolutely terrible by both of them. Their balance is absolutely appalling. Stumbling and falling all over the place, putting the weight over the front foot. It was, mate, it was a joke, to be honest. It should never, ever have been for the English title. But then again, it's not who you are, it's who you know, isn't it? And that's a prime example of it, mate. And that's the politics that we're up against.
Wow. That's a big statement there, isn't it? That's a big statement. It is what it is, though.
That's the way it is, mate. That's the way it is. They will make somebody who's had 6 fights fight for an English title against somebody else who hasn't even won an area title and has lost one, all because he's with a big promoter.
So
it's a lot of weight.
Wally Camacho's now, I believe, gone over to Don Charles's gym.
Yes, I spoke to Don the other day. He asked me for some sparring for him. As it goes, for the prize fighter.
Continues.
He said, "Can we get some sparring with Chris for the prize fighter?" I said, "You are aware Chris already stood him on his head in the nation finals, aren't you?" So I didn't know that. I said, "Yeah, he did." I said, "Go back and ask Paddy, would he like to spar him, really?"
So those two, so Chris, China Clark and Wally Camacho, they're not viable. I heard Chris, China Clark lost the other day on points, I believe. He lost at a points loss.
Yeah, he got dropped by Matty Askin.
Okay.
Matty Askin is now the English champion. He dropped him in the 7th round. Again, it was more China Clark's terrible balance. He walked onto a jab and he's like Bambi on ice, over he went. So yeah, he's now the English champion, Matty Askin.
But that's not a quick fight to make. I mean, the other day he was just English champion, and he's no break or no rest or no sort of like voluntary defence or what's all that about?
By beating Wally Camacho, he was then with Eddie Hearn, wasn't he? Eddie Hearn threw him in with again, it's not who you know, it's who you're with, then he threw him in straight away with Matty Askin.
Could you potentially fight Matty Askin then?
Well, the British Boxing Board have made us mandatory for that title.
The
Boxing Board have made us mandatory for that title. So, but I can't see the fight happening.
So the Box Nation. So who are you with in terms of your promotion? Yes.
Well, we're one fight. We're signed just one fight at a time with Frank Warren.
Okay. Is there any reason why you've got that arrangement?
Not really. Just see how it goes. See how it goes. That's it basically. Really. With
the current merry-go-round of fighters leaving certain stables and going to other stables, is it something that you guys would consider? Eddie Hearn seems to pick up a new fighter every week. It's a bit like like getting a new football card every week. You get a new fighter.
Personally, I haven't got no allegiance to any promoter or preference of one over the other.
Right.
For me, though, you know, Eddie's dad, Barry,
Yep.
he's the main man.
Barry,
You know, he knows what he's doing. You know,
definitely knows what he's doing.
you know, I think by Eddie signing all these fighters may not be a good thing.
He's gonna have to
Well,
look after
I personally don't think it's a good thing. You know, what all the other young lads who are on the show, and yeah, we're all part of the team match room and this and the other. Okay, well, when the shows dry up, or even if the shows don't dry up and you get more shows, you're not going to get no work, son, because there's that many lads in the matchroom camp now. There's not enough shows for them all to fight, so that's a bad thing. The other thing is, you know, Frank Warren's. I know he gets some stick, he does, but he's proven. You know, he's been in the business a long time. He's a long time. You know, at this minute, he's having a bit of a rough time. You know, it's like the tables are turned against him. But, you know, in his own sense, he's a fighter himself. And most certainly, like before, he'll come back out on top. I really do believe that.
Yeah, wow. Dean Edwards, thank you so much again for talking to me. I really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Before I finish, of course, as always, got to get out your Twitter. So what's your Twitter name?
It's at Boxing Cutsman.
Okay, and Chris Keane's?
You can follow him at Chris Keane Boxer.
Okay, excellent stuff. Once again, Dean, thank you so much for the interview.
No problem, Ingram. Thank you for always you know, being there and showing us support and love. You know.
Hopefully in 2 weeks or 2 weeks' time's announcement might be of some interest to you in terms of exposure. 2 weeks' time, give it. I'll contact you about it.
That'd be brilliant, that would, Ingram. Thank you, mate. You're
all
a
right.
gentleman.
Take care.
Ingram, take care, mate. Bye bye.
All the best. Bye bye.